adequate decisions that we ought to make. At this particular point, as always, this is the very hour where we go and we take a look at what's really making headlines within the local press. Starting off with the Daily Monitor, of course, the story of Justice Esther Chisache. Of course, she says they wanted to kill her in a statement shared with this publication, that is by a legal firm, on high instructions. Justice Esther Chisache, who fled the country recently, sheds light on the issues making her lose sleep, that is including threats to her life, delays in hearing three petitions she had filed, that is regarding and among others, and the formation of a tribunal that is to handle her case and government refusal to let her retire. Now, Justice Chisache continued to live in fear. That is for her life, based on reports she continued to receive. Now, in July, that is 2023, she received yet another report of an imminent threat to her life, and then she fled the country in fear for her life. So she really portrays a huge story right here. And well, as we continue still, money lenders, government lock horns, that is over the interest rates. Now, the leaders of the money lenders say that government did not consult them, that is about the interest rate cut, which they also say is unfair compared to what the commercial banks really charge, So that is something. And Mr. Junan, the chairperson of the Association for Money Lenders in Uganda, said that some of the financial institutions lend as much as 17%, that is per month, including some banks. So we were wondering why the money lenders are being capped at 2.8%. That is per month. So, well, let us see how those discussions are really entail. And now lawyer Kiza makes lemonade out of Kiza Besigye's lemons. And now the lawyer Aaron Kiza stood out among the 34 defense lawyers representing Dr. Kiza Besigye and his co-accused, that is Haj Obeid Lutale, before the General Court Martial. This was on Monday when he, among others, took on the 7-member panel led by Brigadier Robert Freeman Mugabe. So there is a lot of details to also find out. And of course, there is a special report here which says that why teachers are seeking early retirement must hit at the public primary and secondary schools that is implementing the government's free education scheme. So why is it that they are seeking the early retirement? You'll find out as you grab yourself a copy that is of the Daily Monitor. And of course, we take a look at the government here that is set to give free tablets, smartphones to the teachers. Yes, and 8 graduates from Chambogo with PhDs. Now a total of about 11,721 students from the university have actually been cleared to graduate in various disciplines during the institution's 20th graduation ceremony. Now these year's cohort includes 6,017 females, 5,704 males, and the 4-day ceremony will actually take place from December 10th to 13th of the university main campus in Chambogo, Kampala. Now, the university will confer at least 8 PhDs and 219 master's degrees in various fields. So there is a lot. And of course, we see all the PhD holders being of course, interviewed here, and they give their opinion. Now, from the business side, we took a look at the UNBS that is set to inspect the imported used cars for road worthiness locally. Now, the inspection within the country has been occasioned, that is by a ruling that cancelled the contract of a firm that contracted to inspect used vehicles from countries of origin. So that is what we're seeing. And then the United Nations in a bid to develop more equity trading products. So let us see how that will go about. And the Kampala City Council Authority banks on new markets to increase revenue collection. That is by 40 billion Ugandan shillings. So how will that initiative really succeed all through there? Let us wait and see. Now, from the comment section side, somebody here says that God against regression in the HIV AIDS fight. So there is a lot here said about that. And as Christmas bells ring, winter of discontent rages from east to west. So there is a right to also say something in that line. And elections could actually hold back Uganda's 2040 dream. How real is that? Let's wait and see. And of course, giving with grace, as somebody is, of course, a story they had about people living with disability. Now, this discussion seems to be really quite drama. And if you get to realize on most of, most of the tabloids are actually addressing the matter to do with the persons with disabilities. And now here somebody says, here's what fuels disasters in Bulambuli, and says that Uganda cannot afford to normalize the loss of life and displacement as inevitable outcomes of natural disasters. So that is what it entails. And of course, from the later of the day, sectarian politics, Akisoro lanes, well, following the recent elections within the district. I think that is following that discussion. All right, now, from the other stories, is your car roadworthy this festive season? Of course, the experts come out to really declare this to show you how it can actually be worthy. And of course, essential car inspections for safe up-country travel. Somebody here says that it can actually be exciting to travel up-country during the Christmas holidays. You must, however, do specific inspections on your car and necessary repairs before you actually leave in order to enjoy the trip without encountering difficulties such as the car breakdown. So you can see how that comes out. And of course, there are some tips here when it comes to better communication. What is the key for better communication? Of course, in various aspects. It could be in your business, it could be relationship, social, and so many more. Now, from the regional news side, we take a look at the Karuma Bridge repairs. According to reports, they say it's 80% complete. That's according to the site engineers. Now, most of the critical works on the bridge, including concrete pawning and bearing replacement, have actually been worked upon. So let us see how the impact will actually be distributed. Now, patients sleep on floors, corridors at Nalufenya. Now, some children share beds, especially in the emergency ward, while others sleep on the floor and in corridors. That is due to congestion at the Nalufenya Children's Hospital. Yeah, so something that needs really some adequate and urgent attention. And now, Acholi to raise 2.5 billion Ugandan shillings to revamp the education sector, and that is what is happening in that particular place. And still into the regional news, it's abandoned at Bath, a woman in desperate search for her roots. Of course, the 18-year-old insists on finding her mother despite the different counseling sessions intended to convince her to let it go. So there is a lot that has also been really cited out here. And Zomba leaders in the sport of bother over early pregnancies. Of course, according to the records, 3,195 records from the district health department indicate that 12,086 total pregnancies projected from January to October. About 3,195 are teenagers. So that is actually very worrying. Now, from the perspective side, the key to Africa's vaccine sovereignty. Now, to foster health and self-sufficiency, African countries must establish strategic international partnerships that rely on support from both the public and the private sector. Now, of course, talking about the Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, has actually established an invaluable model for meeting Africa's growing vaccine demand, while definitely bolstering the domestic capabilities, according to what the report says. Okay, now the World Food Program troubles in Sudan, alienated donors. according to the report. Now, the United Nations main food aid distributor, that is the World Food Program, is actually struggling to feed millions of people in the African country, which is suffering one of the world's most hunger crises. So let us see how that will also go about when it comes to this. Now, the World Food Program described itself as the largest humanitarian organization because it won a Nobel Peace Prize that was for its role in combating hunger and promoting peace. However, that is in the recent years, large quantities of its food aid have actually been diverted in some countries, that is including Ethiopia, Somalia, and Yemen, and diversions in terms of theft. Yeah, so let us see. Now, South Korean president faces impeachment after martial law. Now, South Korea's parliament, with 190 of its 300 members, were presenting. Yes, they voted against President, that is Yoon Suk's declaration of the martial law, which was actually then ruled invalid. So let us see how will that really play out. That is from the international politics scene to that. All right, I guess that as we wind up, maybe let's take a look at the sports. Ziwa is a lifetime achiever. November's real stars fated. Yes, and record Ugandan field at NCBA Series Final. Something here. And of course, She Cranes is set for Africa Netball Championships. And Ramjani gets Uganda off the flyer. That is to Rwanda. Well, now switching over to the new vision. Marriage bill, of course, clerics outraged. Now, church lists 6 clauses that offend the Christian values within the bill. But let us see how really it will show out. Now, Covenant Nations Church, definitely, we see here fundraisers for Edward and Irina Kataha Bible College. Yes, and I'm seeing the First Lady was there. Now, the building named after Mrs. Museveni's late parents will house administrative offices, talking about libraries, meeting rooms, among many others. So let us see how that really shows out. And of course, Church of Uganda opposes 6 provisions of the marriage bill. The Church of Uganda has raised concern over the 6 sections of the marriage bill 2024, arguing that they undermine Christian values, particularly provisions for possible conversion of monogamous to polygamous marriages. So there is a lot to really be considered. And Museveni launches industrial hub that is in Karamoja, in the Karamoja region. That is something very remarkable for that region that really has been largely infested with poverty levels that are very alarming. All right, now, of course, Mwenda's witch trick kills fortune seekers. Yes, and the defense minister speaks out on the United States spy plane. Now, the reasonable clause for the alarm over the United States plane says both. Now, the allegedly surveillance aircraft entered Uganda's airspace on November 14th, 15th, and 26th, respectively. Yeah, so a lot has been said about that. And a decline in Uganda's soil fertility worries experts. Yeah, so the revelation comes as Uganda joins the rest of the world to commemorate the World Soil Day today, and the national celebrations will definitely take place in Soroti for that matter. And of course, thinking about the firearms violence, police fingerprints about 50,377 guns. And according to the 2023, that is annual crime report, Otafire say that the general crime rate has actually gone down. And the report released in February this year showed a general decrease in the number of crimes that is reported from 231,653,000 cases in 2022 to 228,074 cases this particular year. Now, on cattle rustling, the minister said that the government shall actually continue to anti-stock theft unit operations, which are carried out by the police and the Uganda People's Defense Forces. Yeah, so let's see how that will be. This is in line with the firearms violence. And now taking a look at the human rights body that is set to probe the pastors over sexual offenses. Now, the policy framework was initially proposed by the government in 2016, but later shelved reportedly. That is due to the intense pressure from the religious leaders who voiced the concerns over the government interference in religious matters. So let us see how that also plays out. And of course, Justice Bukira's fate to be determined by the president. Now, in a later dated August 8th, 2024, Dr. Flavian Zeja directed Bukira to hand over the office. And now, from other news, 2,000 children not on treatment, that is on HIV, and over 30% of those not on treatment by 1 year old die. So if they don't get treatment by a space of 1 year, they definitely don't live to see the test of time. And now President Museveni orders release of disaster money. Yes, now the Minister for Relief and Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Hilary Onek, said that they have identified land measuring 10,000 acres on which to immediately resettle the affected people. Now he said that they will feed the resettled people for at least 6 months as they plant their own food. Now it was agreed that the area where these people will be settled should actually have a physical plan so as to avoid a slum-like settlement. So there is a lot that has also been mentioned in that line. And of course, from the court side, Semakade battles prosecution over the DPP remarks. And of course, they show us the genesis of the case here all the way. And from the comment section, the parish development model, learn from Kwania, Rukunjiri and Nasana, perhaps those that have been very exemplary when it comes to utilizing these funds. And another 50 years of progress, and that is for women lawyers. Now, FIDA Uganda celebrates 50 years of existence this week with various activities, their focus being women and children, which means that they cater for the majority of the Ugandans. Now, on top of that, though they actually do serve men directly, their last annual report says they provided legal aid services to 6,483 men and 14,001 women. So women are the greatest concern. Now, of course, somebody here says that why social governance is actually winning winning formula. Yeah, there is reasons why that is eminent. And of course, shrinking the civic space in extractive governance. How can that be really possible? It has all been highlighted here. And ownership of registered land for all Ugandans is sacrosanct. That is what someone also said. And another writer in the comment says, stop criticizing President Museveni. Of course, he has put out his reasons why you should stop doing that and why the COP29 failed the Global South. Somebody writes, and let's unite to protect women and girls. Yes, another writer portrays it out there. And the East African community countries embark on joint tourism promotion. Now, East Africa community recognizes the significance of tourism sector, with currently contributing an average of about 9.5% to gross domestic product, that is to foreign exchange earnings, and 7.1% that is to employment. So there is a lot also to learn from there. And the new tourism brand to be launched for that. And yeah, let us wait and see how this brand will show out. And now the East Africa community has actually introduced the East African e-passport to be as one of the commitments for the new tourism brand. Yes, so as we proceed along, digital financial services are shaping Uganda's economy, at least according to what some of the observers have actually got to realize after time of study. And somebody talks about market diversification, putting eggs in different baskets. How do you really diversify? And top money lessons from investing this year. Yes, somebody still here from the business, in the business vision. Top money lessons from investing this particular year. So what are those lessons that you actually need despite the year is actually done? Now, from the community news side in Hoima, festivities as the World Health Organization tips public, that is on Mpox. Now, Mpox, we know it's very infectious by the monkeypox virus. So the World Health Organization tips public on that. And of course, from Moroto, Roads Authority to reconstruct Moroto, that is another gate section. Now the works delayed due to the lack of funds from the government, according to the report. And now in Shema, members of parliament asked government to enhance funding for special needs children. Yes, and in Gulu, the substance abuse fuels Gulu's mental health cases. And in Yumbe, hypertension, diabetes cases surge in those particular areas. Let us see how that really shows out. And the United Nations warns on the worsening refugee crisis that is Camp 2025. And the United Kingdom bans daytime TV advertisements for the junk food. Now, Bestie robs their kids of the best possible start in life and sets them up for a lifetime of health problems and costs. This is according to what they say. Now, they say that this government is actually taking action now to end the targeting of the junk ads at kids across both TV and online at the same time. Well, that brings us to the end of the local press brief. For now, let me go for the break, and definitely Caribbean, East Africa and international updates is definitely into the pipeline when I return. Stick around.
Smart 24, driving business.
These days, our homes are no longer just the places we live. It's where we attend meetings, go to class, keep each other safe, and entertain ourselves. To do this smoothly, you need a reliable internet connection. Buy the MTN WakaNet router, which connects up to 32 devices and gets a free 40 GB data bundle at only 149,000 shillings. Or buy the MTN WakaNet MiFi at only 75,000 shillings and enjoy a free 15 GB bundle to stream, study, work, and play on the go. Visit any MTN service center to buy the MTN WakaNet router or MiFi and enjoy the internet that does amazing things.
Two of the most decorated clubs in English football. It is always a big deal with these. And Garnacho! That is off the very high.
Stream all 380 matches for just 15,200 shillings on Showmax Premier League. Visit showmax.com to get started.
Oli mukyala munna bizinesi era oyagala bizinesi yekulaakulane. Gavumenti ya Uganda ekuleetedde ssente za Grow era nga weewola okuva ku bukadde buno okutuuka ku bukadde 2 mu bbanga lya myaka 2 ate nga gw'asasula mu budde olina mukisa ddala. Eri abakyala abanoonyi b'obubuddamu nammwe abaliko obulemu, enteekateeka eno egenda kubakolako mu ngeri ey'enjawulo. Okumanya ebisingawo, tuukirira Post Bank, Equity Bank, DFCO, Centenary Bank, Finance Trust Bank ne Stanbic Bank. Oba genda ku mukutu gwaffe ogwa www.grow.go.ug oba okujja ku ofiisi za PSFU ku Kyaddondo Road e Nakasero ku kizimbe kya Trust Tower omwaliiro ogusooka, oba okuweereza obubaka bwa WhatsApp ku nooti 762 3 nooti 4961. Omukisa guno gw'abakyala bonna okwetooloola eggwanga era ng'enteekateeka ya Grow evujjirirwa banka y'ensi yonna n'eteekebwa mu nkola Ministry y'ekikula ky'abantu ne Private Sector Foundation Uganda.
Grow, generating growth opportunities and productivity for women enterprises.
If you play a game of power,
Chelsea is French.
I didn't lie to you. I only withheld the information.
Any minute I get, I'm going to tell Chelsea.
be prepared.
prepared to lose it all.
I'd rather be buried alive.
Damalai makes her boldest power play.
Very dramatic.
In season 2, Monday to Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Only on Pal Magic Prime. DSTV channel 148, Go TV channel 303.
Njagala kulaba taata wange.
Bulira jangu wano. Mwana wange, oluvannyuma tusisinkanye.
Toli kitange.
Nguzu yakoma okuzaala dda nnyo nga tannaba nakuwasa mmwe.
Kati olaba byonna ebituuseewo.
Naye kiki kyonjagaza?
Mujja wange, anyinako obujja. Tanjagala ewatali nsonga.
Amakya gano tugamala effembe mukwano. Watali n'eddagala. Fire is burning on the mountain like gendo lisaasaanye mu nnyumba ye.
Ono uncle.
Eki?
Cooking oil like no other makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda, yeah, the taste of Uganda, the taste.
Smart 24, driving business.
Yes, we'll be back from the break exactly just 20 minutes to the top of the hour. This is Smart Means a Business. I'm Andrew Obarije, and now heading straight into what is happening into the Caribbean, East Africa. And now the education sector leads individuals earning more than 100,000 Kenyan shillings. This according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Now, more than 80,000 workers in the education sector and more than 100,000, that is per month, in 2023. That is compared to 81,000 workers in 2022, according to the latest data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Now, this 9.8% increase high wage earners shows that schools and higher learning institutions retain their dominancy as key employers in the country. Now, earnings in the sector were the highest in Kenya, that is in 2023, standing at about 564.5 billion compared to 539.9 billion in 2022. And now over 300,000 workers in the sector earned between 50,000 and 99,000 in 2023. That is growing from 290,000 workers in 2022, outpacing other sectors. That is by about a mile. Now, according to the Bureau, earnings cover all the cash payments, that is including the basic salary, of course, living allowances, talking about the profit bonus, together with the value of the rations and the free board, and an estimate of the employer's contribution, that is towards housing. Now, the real estate sector and extraterritorial organizations had the lowest number of employees, that is earning over 100,000 Kenyan shillings, with those figures in 2023 standing at about 354 there is a hit that has been turned towards the borrowing costs in Kenya. Now, the government is worried about the deteriorating financial health for many Kenyans, despite the positive economic fundamentals. Now, Treasury and Economic Planning Cabinet Secretary, that is John Mbadi, said that actually he's the very person that is sending this hit towards the lending, the financial institutions. Now, according to the CS, despite healthy reserves, a stable shilling, low inflation, exports looking positive, and an average economic growth projected this year, many Kenyans still don't have money to spend. Now, CS Mbadi said to avail that is money to businesses, as the government is actually also working on leasing the monies owed to the private sector. Now, he noted that the middle class is also choking from the deductions that are taking away the huge chunk of money from their income, something the government is actually working on through the pay as you earn amendments. Now, according to the report, they say that they are no longer going to turn deaf on popular word on the street that Kenyans are starved of disposable income. Now, this is according to CS Mbadi, said during the launch of the 2024 Financial Access Household Survey Top Line Findings Report. Now, he say that we need to know the appropriateness of our policies, products and services and innovation vis-a-vis the needs of the people. Now, he said that they will let the central bank to engage financial service providers, that is in lowering borrowing rates to make loans affordable. He added, now the central bank has lowered the base lending rates. Let our banks respond accordingly. And I want to challenge our lenders that if the economy chokes you, you will be the worst hit than all of us. This is what the CS told them. Now, the lenders have actually been pushing for more rate cuts ahead of the last Monetary Policy Committee meeting, that is of the year, on December 5th. And commercial banks have actually been opting for investments in less risky assets such as government securities amid the elevated non-performing loans ratio on private sector loans, which stands at about 16.5%. Now, there has been quite a huge concern, and I believe this is one of those questions which also Uganda had actually, which Uganda had to answer. That is in line to trying to relate the macroeconomic factors to the micro side, that the economy can actually record an increase in the GDP, but unless that increase is witnessed by the common person, the Omuntu for you, if you feel like the expenditure is actually moving quite smoothly, it will be reflected by your spending habits as you, the common person. And because we've been having a challenge of money is being distributed amongst a small class of people. And this small class of people is actually creating a delusion that actually money is moving through the hands of the people. But it's not evenly distributed. That is also another factor that ought to be looked into. Now, results from the top line findings indicate that the financial inclusion landscape was actually impacted by the various reforms instituted in the last 3 years, and especially the regulatory environment governing the digital credit providers. Now, overall financial access has actually improved from 83.7% in 2021 to about 84.8% in 2024. Now, similarly, the adult population that reported being completely excluded from accessing any form of financial services or products in the last 12 months has actually declined from 11.6% to about 9.9% in 2024. Now, notably, access to the informal-only financial services increased to about 5.2% in 2024. That is from 4.7% in 2021. Now, note the survey conducted by the Central Bank of Kenya, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, and the Financial Sector Deepening Trust Kenya, of course, piled the given reports that we are actually looking into. And then finally, from the Caribbean, East Africa, Kenya leads charge on climate solutions at the COP, of course, meetings as a result of that. Now, the proposed protocol aims to mitigate severe impacts of climate change on livelihoods in the arid, semi-arid lands, areas that are particularly vulnerable to droughts and the land degradation. Now, the protocol calls for urgent coordinated action to protect communities and ecosystems in these regions. As we see, the United Nations General, that is Antonio Guterres, described that the COP16 as the most shoot moment for the global efforts to raise the ambition and accelerate the action that is on land and drought resilience. Now, Guterres emphasized the importance of people-centered approach that is in tackling the desertification and land degradation, which affect the millions of people in the country of Kenya. All right. Now, that is something interesting. Now, heading into the international side, what is really happening on the international side, Bitcoin is actually making headlines as it crosses 100,000 United States dollars and other 7 wild moments that is in history. Now, the Bitcoin price has for the first time broken the $100,000 mark, hitting a new record high. Now, the value of the world's biggest cryptocurrency has actually been boosted by the United States President-elect, that is Donald Trump, who will adapt to crypto-friendly policies. Now, the milestone was actually reached hours after Trump said that he would actually nominate former Securities Exchange Commission Paul Atkins to run the Wall Street regulator, and Mr. Atkins is seen as being a far more pro-cryptocurrency than the current head of the secretary. Now, the $100,000 milestone prompted celebrations from the cryptocurrency funds around the world, and Bitcoin's widely fluctuating value has actually always attracted interest, and with its backers reflecting the delight when it has passed the previous price threshold, the defiancy during its slumps. But this particular landmark has actually been especially keenly anticipated. Now, for weeks, charts, memes, and predictions have swirled around social media about when the price would actually hit the figure thought to be one of the holy grails of the crypto world. Now, millions of the viewers were actually tuned in online to watch parties as the price hovered the close of $100,000. Now, the value of the single Bitcoin is one of the barometers of optimism in the cryptocurrency industry, which is now estimated to be worth $3.3 trillion, according to the analysis firm Coin Market Cap. Now, Donald Trump's election has actually vowed to make the United States the crypto capital of the planet, a remarkable turnaround given as recently as 2021 was calling. Actually, Trump used to call cryptocurrency a scam, and he used to call Bitcoin a scam at the same time. Now, also remarkable is just how Bitcoin's price has rocketed. Now, a valuation of 100,000 represents a 40% increase on election day in the United States, and a far more than double the price it started the year at. But there is lots more to Bitcoin than just the dazzling changes in its value. Now, from its enigmatic inventor to the bridging down of the so-called crypto king, it's actually a story with many twists and turns, and which has actually been making and losing what we call the huge fortunes. Now, despite the anonymous profile, no one actually knows for sure who invented the Bitcoin, and the idea for it was actually posted on internet forums way back in 2008. Someone calling themselves, that is Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, they explain how the peer-to-peer digital cash system could actually work to enable people to send the virtual coins over the internet just as easily as sending an email. Now, Satoshi created a complex computer system that would actually process transactions and create new coins using a huge network, what we call a self-appointed volunteers around the world who actually use special software and the powerful computers for that line. Now, in 2014, Japanese-American man, that is Dorian Nakamoto, was pursued by reporters who actually thought he was the elusive Bitcoin creator. But it actually proved to be false, a false lead caused by some mistranslated information. Now, Australian computer scientist, that is Craig Wright, said that it was him in 2016, but after years of legal battles, a High Court judge concluded that he was not Satoshi, as they thought. Now, earlier this year, a Canadian Bitcoin expert told Peter Todd strongly denied being Satoshi, while in London this month, a British man, Stephen Mollett, claimed that he was the person to be believed. Well, Bitcoin there making quite a huge rounds. And actually it happened, and it's been really anticipated. And according to the cryptocurrency enthusiasts, they believe that this is actually going to be the longest bull run. And when they talk about bull run, of course, in the financial markets, it means when the markets are in green full time, the markets are rising all the time. So this is what we anticipate, and we know that Trump seems to be really is going to be really embarking largely on the cryptocurrency policies, and this is going to be very vital. And I believe, I was telling somebody that I perceive that during the time when Donald Trump is actually going to be sworn in as president come 20th January, we're going to see the prices in the cryptocurrency market really shoot up so high. And I feel like this would be the right opportunity, the absolute moment for every person to actually position themselves for you to participate into this. By 20th January, the markets are promising to actually be quite very effective. Let us wait and see how this turns out. And we all know that cryptocurrency has actually been a source of livelihood for quite a huge number, for so many Ugandans actually. I'll say that have actually been earning from that. All right, now still in other stories, the New York Police Department hunts gun-wielding assailant who killed the United Healthcare CEO that is outside the hotel. Now, Brian Thompson was actually the target, as according to the tabloids. Now, the New York City police have launched a manhunt for a masked suspect who gunned down the head of the United States medical insurance giant in what the investigators described as the brazen targeted attack. Now, the United Healthcare Chief Executive Brian Thompson was fatally shot in the back on the Wednesday morning outside the Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan, where he had actually been scheduled to speak at an investor conference later in the day. Now, the 50-year-old father of two, who also was shot in the leg, was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead minutes after the attack. This is what according to the officials say. Now, the investigators say that they don't know exactly the motive of the assailant who actually fled the scene without taking any of the victims' belongings. Now, police have offered $10,000 reward for the people that actually get him. Now, the attack unfolded at about 6 hours 45 minutes is Greenwich Mean Time in one of the busiest parts of Manhattan, close to the tourist magnets of Times Square and the Central Bank, in an area where the roofings are extremely rare. Now, police drones, helicopters, dogs, and thousands of the CCTV cameras are combating the city street by street in an effort to trace the assailant. Now, the New York City Police Commissioner, that is Jessica, told the news conference that every indication is that this was premeditated, pre-planned, and it was a targeted attack. Now, the suspect was actually wearing a black face mask and a cream jacket, appeared to be waiting for Thompson, that is for 5 minutes outside the hotel. This according to what the police said. Now, the assailant was also struck on surveillance camera minutes before the shooting at the Baxter's, less than 2 blocks away. Now, when Thompson arrived alone on foot at the Hilton, the shooter stepped on the pavement from behind a car and shot him in the back. This according to what the reports are really saying pertaining this very particular discussion. And now, of course, still in other business news, India's blockbuster drugs are said to take on deadly sparbugs. Now, the antibiotics are hailed as medical saviors, but they are increasingly facing a crafty adversary. And now the bacteria that mutate and adapt to the adapt and outwit the very lungs designed to defeat them and cure the infections they cause. Now, these antibiotic-resistant sparbugs directly caused about 1.4 million deaths, that is worldwide, in 2021, according to the Lancet, the medical journal. Now, antibiotics, which are considered to be the first line of defense against severe infections, did not work on most of these cases. This is according to what we see. Now, India is among the countries hardest hit by the antimicrobial resistance. Now, in 2019 alone, antibiotic-resistant infections caused about 300,000 deaths. Now, they are alone responsible for the deaths of nearly 60,000 newborns each year that we see. But some hope in the horizon as a number of promising locally developed new drugs show potential to combat the antibiotic-resistant pathogens. Now, they also offer a game-changing solution, that is to preserve the last resort treatments. So that is how India is really standing at when it comes to positioning itself into the pharmaceutical world, Now, finally, from the international side, Airbus cuts nearly 500 UK jobs to reduce costs. Now, Airbus will axe 477 jobs in the United Kingdom as the plane maker scales back its space business and tries to trim costs. Now, more than 2,000 jobs, 5% of its workforce, will be lost globally amid the 2026. That is year. Now, compulsory job cuts are non-planned, the firm said, adding that almost all the top positions affected do not relate, that is, to specific projects or programs. That is what they say. Now, the cuts also come as the firm's profits fall as even its sales rise, with the plane maker admitting that in July it was struggling with bottlenecks in its supply chain. Now, of course, it told the praise. At the time, it had more demand than the ability to supply, and admitted that it was actually falling behind on orders. Now, the company said on Wednesday evening that it wanted to reduce its fixed cost base, and it will work with its social partners to limit the impact, that is by utilizing all the available social measures. Now, the space arm of its business will actually take the brunt of cuts, with about 1,128 jobs to go from that department. Now, the further 618 jobs will be cut from its headquarters, and 250 from its air power department, and 47 from its connected intelligence department. Now, the job cuts will also be spread out geographically, that is, with the bulk occurring in Western Europe. Yeah, of course, Germany about 689, France 440, United Kingdom 477 jobs. Like, we're talking about the number of employees, the company employees in the various countries. The rest of the world, over 34. Now, the job cuts come as Airbus profits fell 22%. That is to 1.8 billion, even as sales rose 7% to 44.5 billion in its most recent results, which cover the 9 months, that is to 30th October. So in the short run, they seem to have been profitable, but in the longer run, they are incurring a loss. Now, H10 profit margins mean relatively small raises in costs that can hurt the profits. Now, this is not the first time in the last few years Airbus has had a cutoff on staff. Now, in 2020, it announced over 15,000 job cuts globally and 1,700 in the UK, especially as the pandemic grounded flights, hitting plane makers and airlines' profits. Now, the United Union criticized the decision at the time. Another act of industrial vandalism against the United Kingdom aerospace sector. Well, let us see how that really shows out for the Airbus, of course, that is set to cut about 500 jobs in the United Kingdom. Well, let's go for the break for now. I'm returning with business tips and quotes. Stick around.
Smart 24, driving business.
oli mukyala munna bizinensi era oyagala bizinensi yeekulaakulane gavumenti ya uganda ekuleetedde ssente za guro era nga weewola okuva ku bukadde buna okutuuka ku bukadde 2 n'osasula mu bbanga lya myaka 2 ate nga gw'asasula mu budde olinna mukisa ddala eri abakyala abanoonyi b'obubudamu nammwe abaliko obulemu enteekateeka eno egenda kubakolako mu ngeri ey'enjawulo okumanya ebisingawo tuukirira Post Bank, Equity Bank, DFCO, Centenary Bank, Finance Trust Bank ne Stanbic Bank oba genda ku mukutu gwaffe ogwa www.grow.go.ug oba okujja ku ofiisi za PSFU ku Kyaddondo Road e Nakasero ku kizimbe kya Trust Tower omwaliiro ogusooka oba okuweereza obubaka bwa WhatsApp ku nooti 762 3 nooti 49 omukisa guno gw'abakyala bonna okwetooloola eggwanga era ng'enteekateeka ya Grow evujjirirwa banka y'ensi yonna n'eteekebwa mu nkola minisitule y'ekikula ky'abantu ne Private Sector Foundation Uganda.
Grow, generating growth opportunities and productivity for women enterprises.
okuba omusinguzi oyine kuba stede nka Tiger konka koligula amasuta na MTN momo okusingura kworobi kozesa momo app ningashi imata star emwe mukagi 5 star ishatu hash teka mu merchant code teka mu muhendo gw'esente teka mu momo pin oshashuri congratulations emotoka yawe shemerirwe kandi watunga omugisha gwo kusingura mobile money na MTN momo.
If you play a game of power,
Chelsea is French.
I didn't lie to you. I only withheld the information.
Any minute I get, I'm going to tell Chelsea.
be prepared to lose it all.
I'd rather be buried alive.
Damalai makes her boldest power play.
Very dramatic.
In season 2, Monday to Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Only on Pal Magic Prime. DSTV channel 148, Go TV channel 303.
Tactics zengenda okukozako zonna yazijja mu Shaolin Soccer.
Ijaje kufumya nyama nga banaiba bali kumukeka.
Oli mutemu. Nafumulina naye kugenda leeta embi nga nzibu nnyo. Chali! Tudeno!
I went to British Columbia, I went to Nevada, I went to Pennsylvania, I went to Boston and came back with $10.
Ate mayitirivu gamususseeko.
Ndowooza abaana owulidde beetonze. Olina kyogamba? Alina amagezi ategeere.
Professor. We love you. We are proud of you.
This is Jordan. When it comes to classwork, Jordan is magic. Jordan shines. Jordan makes his peers better. Jordan is a true leader. White Star Magic family. Be a leader. Be magic.
Smart 24, driving business.
It is just about that time where we get to review the entrepreneurs as we take a look at what are the scriptures that they left for the young business generation that is set up, of course, for the coming generations. Like I normally say, it's very crucial and very important for you to study your patterns in life, pick up what you feel like is necessary for you as an individual and what is necessary for your community and what doesn't really concern you. Just put it aside. Well, let's get inspired for now. Well, that's Olivia Mandiba who says that, yes, we have the dreams, we'll keep dreaming, but it's going to be very hard for you to get investors to actually get money and put into your dream, not until they actually see the evidence that your dream, what you're selling to them, is actually profitable. And I feel like that is where most people really lose it. That's where we get it wrong in most cases. What is the ability? You know, we have all these beautiful dreams, but for you to gain the recognition and the support, the team that is going to really come on board to help you is going to base on the evidence of profitability of what you're pursuing. Because remember, they're going to invest in their time, their money to support you. So you have to show them that actually it's worthy the investment, it's worthy the value. And I think that is something that at some point we perhaps really take less consideration into. The ability to give power to the dream that that you're defending, the ability for you to sell it. And actually, in most cases, this ability, the confidence, the confidence and vision you have within your dream is actually a very crucial factor to give it power, that it will be very easy for you to actually design a proper roadmap to achieve that dream that you want to achieve. As we proceed along into, that was the Smart Means Business quote of the day today. And now let's take a look at other quotes from other personnel. Socrates says that the secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but also the building the new. This is Socrates, that is the father of Western philosophy. And this is Larry Page, that is the co-founder of Google, who says that always deliver more than expected. Yeah, deliver what is really expected of you. If you aim for the planets, you might maybe perhaps land on the stars. So in other words, you go beyond what is expected, other than trying to aim for the least. That is something very costly. And somebody here says that don't take too much advice. Most people who have a lot of advice to give, with few exceptions, they generalize whatever they did. And he says that I myself have been guilty of overthinking problems. Just build things and find out if they work. Yeah, sometimes it's about experimenting something. And most of the big dreams have died simply because of consultation, because by the time you really are convicted about what you're trying to pursue, of course, I understand there is a possibility of you actually are pursuing the wrong line, and that is very understandable. But the question is, why the conviction that you have for your dream, that your dream is actually going to come to pass, if you actually carry that same conviction in executing it, for you to be the mastermind of your dream. This is what we've been talking about, that what is it that is going to make the people to join you, for them to be part of you, to invest with you as they as you travel, as you kickstart the investment journey. Some of the key elements that really have to be looked into. So don't take in too much advice. Try out projects and see whether they work. And perhaps, maybe the timing period, because by the time somebody has ever tried out that project, it was perhaps 5 years back, and the conditions of living were different. Inflation was different. The consumers' tastes and preferences were different at the time, based on the emotions that the consumers were actually portraying at that particular time. So that is something very key. And actually, there is a concept I've come to realize, most especially when it comes to making investment decisions, most especially decisions that are set in a specific region. There is the element of environment, events, and emotions. Environment, the place where you want to invest, where you want to put the investment, that's the environment. Now the emotions, the events. The events now come as a result of activities that have happened in that particular place that perhaps called for your attention to establish that investment. And the emotions. Now, this is in line with how do you think the people, the consumers in that particular region, are going to react towards the solution that you've brought to them. So all those particular nitty-gritties need to be really looked into as you really embark on. And once you have that, that ambition, you could find yourself in a place that you don't really need to ask any person to really, you don't need to consult any person to come and give you any advice in any way. Think about it. Yeah, now that is something. Do things for yourself. Try out and see whether things work out. Perhaps you would be the first to tell a story for the other generations. Now, John Quincy Adams, 60th President of the United States of America, says that if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more. Okay, let me repeat the phrase again. He said that if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you're a leader. Now that is the true definition of leadership. It's not about, it's not a title. It's about inspiration. To what degree do you inspire the people that you interact with, the people that you spend most of your time with? To what degree do you really inspire them? That is what makes a leader. It's not a position. It's not just about being elected. And in business, that is very vital. There ought to be a time where you can actually stand, where you can stand as you where you can stand on the decisions. You have to stand out, and people have to look up to you because you are the head. You're the one holding the next 500 years of that enterprise. So you need to have that element in you. You need to inspire people to do more, work more, innovate more in a competitive world. All right, now in two other quotes, this is Peter F. Drucker, who says that whenever you see a successful business, someone actually made a courageous choice, yeah? And this is there is something here of what do you need to start a business, and Dave Thomas says there are simply three things: know your product better than anyone, know your customer, and the burning desire. Yeah, that one is very true. He has mentioned about that. And now this is Michelle Arrington, the founder of the and co-editor at the TechCrunch. He says that the best startups generally come from somebody needing to scratch and itch. The best startups. So in other words, somebody, that particular scenario where something is actually itching on your body and you're trying to scratch it off. The desperation that you have at that particular time is quite so high. So in other words, this is what he's trying to tell us, that the best startups are started up by individuals that are desiring to scratch and itch. Interesting. And in most cases, they turn out to be very impactful, aggressive, and, impacting positively to the lives of the people in the surrounding communities. That is a reality, and that is a fact. Now, Wayne Huizenga, a prolific United States business person, says that some people dream of success while other people get up every morning and make it happen. So are you a part of that? Are you a part of that is really wishing to make it happen? Are you a part of that crew that thinks that I should hold back, sit down and relax? Perhaps all will be done the way it ought to be done. Okay, let us see. And Guy Kawasaki, entrepreneur and co-founder of Altop, he says that ideas are easy, implementation is very hard. It's very easy to have an idea, but implementation is very key. You could have all these, there is always the gist of every project, idea generation. That's the phase one. And evaluation and so much more, you do all that. And then the final stage is implementation. Now that is the most important, because that is going to determine whether the calories that were burned for you to generate that idea were worthy to be burned. It's going to be, it's really something that and it's typical of a challenge in Uganda, and not only Uganda, but also Africa at the same time, implementation. That's why you take a look at one of the politicians in Uganda made a statement and said that Uganda is a country that has the best policies on the global scale, but the only challenge comes in the area of implementation. You know, that's where things go wrong, and we don't know how and why it really happens that way. But anyway, all things can actually be made much more better. Now, Kyle Braga, that is the founder of Frost and co-founder of Exposure, says that get a mentor in the applicable field if you are at all unsure of what you are looking for. If you're not sure of what you're looking for, of course, go look for a mentor. Go look for a mentor. But I think it doesn't really apply to only if you don't know where you're heading, but even if you have direction for your life, if you're very certain of where your life is actually heading, it's very crucial, it's very vital that you actually get yourself a mentor. You know, somebody that you can actually look up to, that is going to guide you through all the way as you get to your journey. And it may not be just in entrepreneurship, but it also be it could be from the career perspective. You know, you need to have somebody that can actually guide you, and that person must have gone ahead of you in that career for some good time, perhaps 20 years experience, 15 years experience, 10 years experience, whatever time. But as long as they have actually been in the sector for 5 years and above, they have actually obtained the degree of mastery and apprenticeship in that particular sector. So it's important that you actually get to give them an ear and see what they have to say. Now, this is Tony Hayes, CEO of Zappos, says that don't play games that you don't understand. If you see lots of other people making money from them, you know, don't play games that you don't understand, even if you see other people making lots of money from them. And this is quite a very huge challenge that I've actually found, most especially in Africa. We are so much bandwagon driven because we want quick things, we want quick money. I see my friend, he has started up an investment and he's making a lot of money, but I don't know that at the back of him making money today, there is a space of 4 years mastery that he has been through. Perhaps he's not selling them for the first time. I want you to do a research. Whatever person you think they are doing business and they are making it great and you want to imitate them, if you try to take time to search the time they started running that business, you'll be shocked the time they have actually been doing that business. I can perceive it's something that doesn't exceed 5 years. At least which exceeds 5 years. At least not less than, if it's at least 4 years down the road. They haven't just started, they're not 2 months in the business. But for you, you're coming on your very first day, but you want to make the same amount of sales as somebody that has actually been into this business for 5 years. You know, you don't know the patterns. This person has actually studied the patterns. He knows the right investors. He knows who to approach. He knows where to get the best quality. And that is and actually how these people are, we think, and in African setting, there is this always suspicion that they use witchcraft to get customers. Well, whether true or not, but you need to understand something. The only reason that's why they actually, any person that you're perhaps doing the same business and they seem to be ahead of you is knowledge. And knowledge comes with time and experience, you know, with something. You gain to understand it. That's why the gentleman says that don't play games you don't understand, even if you see lots of other people making money from game. Now, me, I'm just trying to drive it from the business side of the bandwagon effect of simply investing out of emotions, out of feelings, and out of anxiety and the fear. You know, and there is something that is common in the business world, and I noticed this when I was much more participating into the crypto space, about the concept of the fear of missing out, FOMO, F-O-M-O. Majority of the people, just because somebody has actually started a given line of business and they are profiting about that particular time, we normally make decisions to also do that very business. But why? You're scared. Perhaps you think in the next month, this crazy demand is not going to be in existence. So you quickly come and invest. Now that's where you make the errors, that's where you blunder most, and you make the worst mistakes that any person could actually ever make. So be careful. Don't play games you don't understand, even if you see other people that are profiting from game. Now, Jason Cohen, the founder of Smart Bear Software, says that it is more effective to do something valuable than to hop a logo all name will say for it. It's more effective to do something valuable than to hope a logo or name will say it for you. Yeah, in other words, many times the brands, we set brands for the products, that all the services that we offer, giving them a name that carries the value, but is it, okay, the front, that is the front value you've given the project by giving it quite a reputable name. But now, what about the back value of that actual organization? Is it really valuable? You know, is the back face value equivalent to the face value, to the front value that you actually given it? So those are some of the aspects that need to be really looked into as we kickstart the investment journey. Now, Spencer Fry, the co-founder of the Carbon Made, says that no more romanticizing about how cool it is to be an entrepreneur. It is a struggle to save your company's profile and own your skin every day of the week. That is Spencer Fry, the co-founder of Carbon Made, is even trying to say no more romanticizing about how cool it is to be an entrepreneur. It is a struggle to save your company, the company's life, and your own skin every day and every week. That is what he's saying. Then Noah Everett is the founder of TweetPic. He says that don't worry about funding if you don't need it. Today, it is cheaper to start a business than ever. That is what he said. It is cheaper. But to some degree, it could be right. Because what has made the ease in running business today much more easier is because of the emergency of the technologies. The digital evolution is actually making business much more easy. And the artificial intelligence, the emergencies and all that, they are making business much more easy. But at the same time, we need to look into another factor, and this is the inflation factor. If you take a look at 10 years down the road, 10 years back in time, starting up a business with a capital, okay, let me say a business that you would start with a capital of 10 million Ugandan shillings 10 years ago. Right now, if you're to start you're to start the similar business, you might need about 15 or even double the amount of money that you needed last year. So, which makes me to criticize that perhaps it's a little bit much more expensive to do business lately. And at some point, it spreads the notion for the current generation that for you to kickstart any business, you actually need to have some what we call some degree, some degree of experience for you to kickstart off. And also, you need to have money. You need to have capital, because with the current consumer tastes and preferences, because we know as inflation increases, even the emotions and the preferences, some consumers will divert away from specific products, not because emotionally they're not attached to them, but because of the financial aspect, because now they have started to prioritize. So what are the chances that if you have your capital, you will be able to make a profit in the shortest time possible? It's going to be very hard. So you may find that you may need extra capital to run your business for at least some extra months. It could be even a year, 2 years down the road. So that is quite very expensive. I would believe that, in my opinion, doing business in the 21st century is quite expensive, considering the inflationary and if we are to measure the degree of to what money has lost value over time, and most especially, particularly for the developing currencies for developing economies, and that's why there is a belief that if the BRICS idea of trade amongst themselves should be that they should be trading amongst each other's currencies, perhaps that could change the notion. Starting a business today in developing countries is very expensive because the local currencies have lost values against the dollar, which is, the global official currency when it comes to trade, So that is something to also really ponder on into that. Now, Jack Nicole, the founder and the CEO of Threadlace, said that I try not to make any decisions that I'm not excited about. Yeah. Sometimes they say don't make decisions when you're too angry and too excited. Yeah, but she says that when she's too excited, she doesn't make decisions, and that is very true. Okay, like if she's not excited about the decision, yeah, but to some degree, you don't really have to be excited about the decision. The bigger picture is the right thing. Has the right thing been done? That's what really matters. Now, Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Motor Company, says that a business that makes nothing but money is a poor business. So, in other words, it's about if you're only making money, you're a poor business. You could be having the money, but you don't have alliances, because sometimes what is going to really make you thrive in this, in the industry, in the competitive, it may not be really necessarily because you have a large capital base, investments, but because of the alliances, the friends you've built over time. You're better off than a person that is simply making off money. Yeah, let me tell you something. For example, if you're in Kampala and perhaps you're running a distribution chain of a certain product, and well, you're making a lot of money from it, and you've become the king of Kampala, let me say, when it comes to distributing that particular product. But then that's all you are. You don't have friends, you don't have alliances, you don't have anything. But then there is this person that perhaps is struggling with, is having a startup, but is well connected to people that have influence in over 20 districts. For you, you're in Kampala, but you have it all. And even in those 20 districts, even if you don't have 100% market share, even if in each district you have about 10% of the market share, 20 districts, how much is that? It's a big percentage. That's about 200%. You're way better than somebody that is having 98% of the market share in one place, is making the money, but he doesn't have alliances. So when Henry Ford says that a business that only makes money is a poor business, you're poor. Yeah. Now, finally, Reid Hoffman, the co-founder of LinkedIn, says that all humans are entrepreneurs, not because they should start companies, but because they will create, because the will to create is encoded in the human DNA. That is true. This is Reid Hoffman, the co-founder of LinkedIn. He says all humans are entrepreneurs, not because they should start companies, but because creation is encoded in the human DNA. So it's trying to actually rub off the narrative where people lack self-confidence that their ideas perhaps may not be transformative. They will be transformative because it's in your nature. And it's also trying to tell you that innovation, entrepreneurship, and investment is not only a space for only specific people, but every person. Is trying to tell you that you are also capable of doing what Microsoft has done, what Apple has done, what Google has done. All that. You are capable. You have the capability because it's in your human DNA. That is what they're trying to tell us. And Steve Case, the co-founder of AOL, says, in the end, a vision without the ability to execute it is probably a hallucination. You're having hallucination if you have a dream that you can execute. And then we have Tony, I think we had reviewed this one. Then we have Henry David Thoreau. He's a poet and a philosopher. And he says that success usually comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it. Henry David Thoreau. Success usually comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it. In other words, people that don't seem to be even bothered about, who are hungry for, of course, you're hungry for success, but it doesn't really drive you. It doesn't occupy your mind. Whether you made it or you didn't make it, the most important thing is that you embrace who you are. We're talking about the degree of saying that, because many times we have what we define as success. Our minds have already drawn the picture of what really success is. So having the right picture is actually very crucial for that. Well, that is it for now. Let's go for the break, and entertainment is definitely coming up shortly.
Smart 24, driving business.
Ensangi zino amaka gaffe tegakyali kifo gye tusula busozi. Waafuuka ekifo we tukolera enkiiko z'emirimu, we tusomera, we twenywereza mu by'okwerinda, era we tusanyukira. Ebintu bino byonna okutambula obulungi weetaaga intaneti eyesigika. Weefunire router ya MTN Wakanet esobola okuyungako ebyuma 32 ofune bando ya GB 4 ez'obwereere ku mitwalo 14,900 zokka. Obagula MTN Wakanet MiFi ku mitwalo 7.5 zokka ofune bando ya GB 15 ey'obwereere onyumirwa omutimbagano gwa intaneti. Genda ku maduuka ga MTN ogule MTN Wakanet MiFi oba router onyumirwe intaneti ekola ebyewuunyisa.
Get all the football on DSTV Cutback for only 110,000 shillings per month.
Atukusanonyirirawo kirako enyange tayisa bubi faburiki kyonna kyekiri kigwa lwa Blue Magic is my choice. Ono Blue Magic ye wange and the Blue Magic is my choice. Ono Blue Magic ye wange.
Wefunire decoder oba osigale nga weeyunze ku GoTV weeyagale mu nnaku zino enkulu. Kati nno okuviira ddala ku mutwalo gumu kitundu zokka osobola okwefunira package gy'okunyumira awamu ne famire yo. GoTV Uganda, love it!
Are you a woman entrepreneur or a woman owning a business and looking for affordable financing to scale up your business? Look no further than the Grow Loan. Grow Loan targets female entrepreneurs nationwide. Key features include a minimum loan amount of 4 million and a maximum loan amount of 200 million shillings, a maximum interest rate not exceeding 10.5% per annum, a loan repayment period not exceeding 24 months. All Grow Loan borrowers must comply with the Grow Project environmental and social standards. Special incentives are available for borrowers that are refugees or from the refugee host communities, people living with disabilities, and women entrepreneurs from the underserved or minority groups. To apply, contact any of the 6 participating financial institutions. Contact us for more information or visit our website at www.grow.go.ug. The Grow Loan is an intervention under the Grow Project, a Government of Uganda project financed by the World Bank and implemented by the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development and the Private Sector Foundation Uganda. Grow, generating growth opportunities and productivity for women enterprises.
Wetlands clean water by filtering pollutants and sediments. Wetlands absorb excess water, reducing flood risks. Wetlands help replenish underground water supplies. Wetlands support diverse species, sustaining ecosystems.
Smart 24, driving business.
About breaking with its own traditions. So that is something coming in there. From there, we're seeing how sports is actually becoming very important. You know, it's becoming something of strategic importance to, you know, a number of the media platforms. Now, HBO's cable channels begin streaming on Max. Now, Warner Brothers Discovery is putting the HBO back to its that is streaming service, adding live streaming to HBO's cable channels, that is to the Max platform. That is the rollout began Wednesday for small subset of subscribers to the streamer's ad-free tiers. Now, the integration of HBO feeds to Max follows on heels of Disney adding ESPN Plus to Disney and Paramount folding Showtime into Paramount Plus. Now, the move also further collapses any barriers between HBO's cable operation and Max's former series stream on Max. And now, some users will actually be able to channel staff the HBO multiplex channels in the Max application. Now, the channels feature will actually let the users watch live feeds of the main HBO channel. That is along with the HBO2, HBO Signature, and HBO Comedy, and HBO Zone. As
it is chilling, and it is.
Who have actually channels will.
It is frightening.
To restart.
So.
Rewind and fast forward those feeds, and on some devices, more between the channels within their maximum applications. Now, the new feature could also help to alleviate what we call what's on issue that is the endemic to streaming, allowing people to click through the HBO specific version of a program guide to see what's live at the moment, rather than scrolling through a host of menu screens. Now, the programming on HBO's linear channels is already available on Max, but the channels will actually offer another way for the users to find it. So that is a HBO cable signs streaming on Max for that. All right, now as we proceed, there is a lot I can see. Okay, Taylor Swift is actually making headlines, as we see, as Taylor Swift, Joe Rogan, Alex Cooper top Spotify's 2024 Wrapped lists. Now, Taylor Swift was actually the most streamed artist globally on Spotify in 2024, while Joe Rogan and Alex Cooper, they topped the platform's podcast charts. Now, this is the 5th consecutive year that the Joe Rogan Experience has actually been the top podcast on Spotify, and comes after he interviewed the former president, that is Donald Trump, on his show leading to the election. Now, Cooper, who co-hosts Call Her Daddy, interviewed the Vice President Kamala Harris on her show and took the 2nd place. That is the 2nd slot for the 2nd year in a row. Now, notably, the 2 podcasts still topped the list after Spotify settled exclusivity of both titles. Now, the top 5 podcasts globally also included the Huberman Lab and The Past Weekend, Theo Von, that is in the 3rd and 4th spots, and The Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett, that is a British video podcast, in a 5th spot. Now, while the top 4 were all known titles, Jordan Newman, a Spotify's head of content partnerships, said that the popularity of The Diary of a CEO speaks to the increasing globalization of podcasts propelled by the video. Now, he says that, I think there is a lot of new podcasts launched today that start the video, Newman told The Hollywood Reporter, and it definitely feels like it is becoming an endemic part of the podcast industry. That is for the right podcast that can support the sort of creative format. Now, this is the 2nd year in a row Taylor Swift has actually topped the music list with about 26.6 billion streams globally, and her domination this year came after the release of her album, The Tortured Poets Department. This was in April, which was also the most streamed album globally in Spotify. That was in 2024 and amid her Eras tour. Now, the top 5 artists list was rounded out by The Weeknd. Bad Bunny, Drake, and Billie Eilish. Sabrina Carpenter had the most streamed song globally with Espresso, which actually had more than 1.6 billion streams, according to the reports. Now, for the first time, Spotify included a ranking top audio books on the platform after introducing the offering in 2022 and then expanding it in November 2023 by offering 15 free hours of audiobook listening to premium members in the United States and select other countries. Yeah, that is what they say. Now, science fiction and fantasy were the most popular audiobook genres in the United States, followed by romance. Now, the platform also large spikes in listening related to book-to-screen adaptations, with actually, it ends with us, being part of that. Now, part of the trends towards the book-to-screen titles comes as Spotify works in partnership with the movie studios to actually promote titles of the platform, said Rebecca, that is McGuire, Spotify's manager of audiobook partnerships and licensing. But the most popular titles and genres also speak to the user base on the platform. Now, Spotify did not actually make audiobook listenings lists for individual users this year, but it is offering authors as well as podcast creators and other artists access to data about listener demographics and habits on the platform. Now, for the first year, Spotify will also be offering users an artificial intelligence generated podcast with, of course, built with Google's Notebook LM, with offers as audio overview of the user's personal music listening habits. That is to those in the United States and the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Ireland, and Sweden. Now, the most streamed artists globally, according to Spotify, Taylor Swift was one of them. We had The Weeknd, number 2, Bad Bunny, Drake, Billie Eilish, Travis Scott, interesting, Peso Pluma, there's Kanye West, there is Ariana Grande, and then Fade is also part. Then the most streamed songs globally, Preso by Sabrina Carpenter, Beautiful Things by Benson Boone, Birds of a Feather, that is Billie Eilish, Gotta Only by, so there is a lot of lists that have been put here, and various categories in various, from various people, different people winning different. I think this reminds me of what we have, the Streamer Awards. Yes, YouTube Streamer Awards, where they actually they award those that have been doing remarkable work on YouTube, but of course based on various sectors, because different people have different command on YouTube, so it depends on all that. Now, away from that, away from the movies, now let's get to the music side. Now, this is very interesting. Recently, we've been having discussions in relation to the artificial intelligence-generated music and how some of the artists have actually been using bots to fluctuate streams, and they make free money. Now, a report here says that artificial intelligence-generated music will actually suck £4 billion a year away from the music creators. That is by 2028, says CSAC. Now, CSAC has published a new report looking at the impact of generative artificial intelligence and which it will have on music creators' earnings. And it estimates that 24% of those earnings could actually be at risk, resulting to annual losses of about £4 billion by 2028, while the value of artificial intelligence-generated music will actually surge to $16 billion a year. Now, this is very scary for the people into the creative industry, and that's why when you see discussions all in line with regulating artificial intelligence, this is the reason why these conversations really come out. Imagine by 2028, music creators are going to be losing about £4 billion, £4 billion by 2028 annually. And this is money they're going to be losing annually. And they are losing it to what? They are losing it to artificial intelligence-generated music. Imagine that. And yet, the AI music industry itself will actually be making £16 billion annually. So, the creators are losing $4 billion to artificial intelligence. Imagine. That is likely to happen if nothing is really done about this. Now, music generated by artificial intelligence put at 24% of music creators' revenues at risk, that is by 2028, resulting in what we call an annual loss of earnings of about £4 billion pounds. Meanwhile, the market value of the artificial intelligence-generated music in 2028 could actually top £16 billion, with the music artificial intelligence platforms also bringing in about £4 billion, that is in fees and subscriptions. Now, this is all according to the new study by CSAC, the global grouping for songwriter collecting societies. Now, because it's a CSAC study, music creators, mean songwriters, additional losses would actually be made by artists on the recording side. Now, the losses incurred by the music creator community at large could actually be mitigated to an extent if artists and songwriters also shared in the revenue streams of artificial intelligence music. Now, the music is usually generated by AI models that were trained by being exposed to existing music. If the artificial intelligence companies had to get permission, that is from the music industry, to use existing music in their training, that would provide an opportunity for creators and rights holders to demand a share of the future income. As far as the music industry is concerned, when copyright-protected works are used, that permission is already required, but many artificial intelligence companies disagree. Now, to the end, the music industry wants lawmakers to actually clarify the copyright obligations of the artificial intelligence companies, and this report from CSAC will actually be used to urge that the clarity is now needed urgently. Now, responding to the report, Robert Neary, CEO of the Ivors Academy, the organization representing the United Kingdom songwriters, says that it's now that legislators act. Now, songwriters and media composers face losing nearly a quarter of their income by 2028 due to generative artificial intelligence, he adds, while artificial intelligence companies stand to gain $4 billion from the unlicensed reproduction of creators' works. Now, transparency, fair pay, and control are non-negotiable. Now, creators must be at the center of legislative decisions shaping artificial intelligence landscape. And he goes on to say that they urgently need roles that ensure transparency, fair remuneration, consent, and control at the same time. Now, the CSAC report was actually produced by the PMP strategy and informed by interviews and workshops with over 50 industry professionals. Now, in an estimating market value of artificial generated music in 2028, it is assumed that this music will actually account for a proportion of consumption, and that is on the streaming platforms, especially with the mode music and functional audio, and a significant portion of what we call a library music used, that is by the media businesses producing the audio visual content. Now, the report also indicates a steep increase in the market value over the next few years, that is from £1 billion to 16 billion pounds, that is by 2028, generating a total of about 40 billion over the next 5 years. Now, in terms of the negative impact on the music creator earnings, again, this will actually raise over the next 5 years, totaling to around 10 billion over that period and 4 billion in 2028. Now, this is based on creators' earnings lays as artificial intelligence generated music accounts for increasing amounts of digital consumption and increasingly used by media and business producing audio visual content. Now, many generative AI companies have trained their models on unlicensed content, that is urging that they do not need permission from copyright owners because of data mining exceptions, all fair use principles in certain copyright systems. Now, the music and the wider copyright industries are adamant those exceptions do not apply, and that the artificial intelligence companies must negotiate licensing deals with the copyright owners for that. Now, if as a result of the copyright owners winning test cases in court or getting clarity from the lawmakers, the artificial intelligence companies do start to negotiate such deals, and the next generation is actually what those deals look like and whether the creators and the right holders will actually get one-time training fee or will be cut into the future income. Now, in the latter, and it seems likely that that's what the copyright industries will push for, they could actually try to negotiate a share by the market value of artificial intelligence generated content and the revenues directly generated from artificial intelligence platforms themselves. Now, the CSAC report doesn't get into the legalities or deal making, but the figures will actually clearly be used